You'll never be rich if you're one of these 5 types of people. If you found out that you belong to the class of people who will never be rich, what would you do? Would you like to know what made people like you less likely to be successful financially? In this video, I'll talk about the 5 types of people who will never be wealthy, as well as the habits that make them aware of this depressing fact. Also, if you're new to the channel, click the button below to subscribe for more life-altering content. It is sad that there are people who will never enter the world of the wealthy in a world where everyone wants to be financially independent. It turns out that these people have certain negative characteristics and personalities that make it harder for them to get out of poverty. But here's what's even worse. It's the fact that many of us don't know we belong to at least one of these groups and don't try to find out. You might be curious as to why. You have made unrelenting efforts to increase your income sources, save, and invest, but your net worth has not changed in any tangible way. You have to understand that becoming wealthy is not a one-time event, but rather the result of your daily actions. These routines can be rooted in your mentality or in your day-to-day actions. Human affiliations, when building up these propensities, will become imbued in your prosperity and structure part of your character. I would hate for you to be one of those people who remains poor and unsuccessful and makes no effort to identify the characteristics that prevent them from succeeding. Therefore, here are 5 categories of people who will never be wealthy. First, the person who puts things off. How frequently do you find that important tasks end up at the bottom of your to-do list? And what happens next? I'll speculate. If you want to become rich, procrastination is something you should have eliminated from your life as soon as yesterday. It results in missed deadlines, late-night assignments, and a sickening sense of guilt, regret, and stress. Procrastinators, in fact, do not have a reserved seat at the table of wealthy people. People who procrastinate are the kind who will always think that now is not the best time to start anything. They believe they have unlimited time and will be ready for future tasks, which is a false hope. That never happens. There is a good chance that you will never be ready if you keep telling yourself that you will do something when you are ready. I believe that self-doubt and a fear of failure are the root causes of procrastination. If this fear is not addressed early, it will slowly develop into a deeply ingrained habit that is difficult to break. Simply put, putting things off will cost you great opportunities that could have changed your life if you had acted sooner. Procrastinators miss out on opportunities that could change their lives, which is one of the reasons they end up poor. Procrastinators also don't realize how important time is in the financial world because they are distracted by jobs, investment opportunities, and life-altering network events. For instance, starting early gives you an advantage over potential rivals in a business setting. You will have ample time to research markets and test various business models until you discover what works. With regard to effective financial planning, you will miss out on the fantastic benefits of compound interest if you put things off too long. If you start early, you give your money time to grow, make money, and if it's an asset, time to appreciate. Therefore, instead of waiting for your next paycheck, start saving now. You shouldn't wait until the market is favorable enough to allow you to invest. If you want to get your part-time job going, do it now. The same holds true for projects at work, starting a fitness regimen, returning to school, and pretty much anything else you've always wanted to do. It will be easier for you to stick to the big goals once you are able to develop self-discipline in your day-to-day activities. Recognize the bumpy road to financial independence. It requires courage, sacrifice, and self-motivation, but it is well worth it. The skeptic is the second. Everyone has made financial mistakes at some point in their lives, but how do you deal with them matters. As the name suggests, deniers are people who would rather die than admit their financial failures and mistakes. Deniers don't pay attention to the financial mess in their lives that is getting worse, and before they know it, they've dug a too deep black hole and buried themselves in the soil. Because they don't learn from their mistakes, people of this caliber will never achieve wealth. Therefore, don't grow. When in fact their life is rapidly deteriorating, a denier will continue to live a lie that everything is fine. These are the kinds of people who are bankrupt But one person said that financial denial is more like a disease that can hide the size of the problems. Deniers have mastered the art of making problems appear to be smaller than they actually are and, on occasion, giving the impression that a problem has completely vanished. In games, this is typically amusing until the issue explodes in front of them. Deniers' tendency to use one success to overshadow their failures is a major warning sign. For instance, in the event that their business fails, they will fabricate the flimsy justification that, "But at least I'm an amazing dad to my kids," to alleviate their own suffering. After losing their jobs, these same people would rather accumulate debt than alter their lifestyles. They do not attempt to correct their mistakes or seek assistance. Their vocabulary does not contain either of those two elements. Deniers rarely have a strategy to help them get out of their financial hole. They have dug themselves a hole. They continue to engage in games of blame, pointing fingers at others instead of themselves. They're stuck in life in part because they don't hold themselves accountable. Deniers frequently blame the government for raising taxes, their bitter boss for firing them, or their family for failing to provide them with the emotional support they needed to succeed. They will always find the funniest excuses to justify their financial circumstances. You must admit that you can make mistakes and learn from them if you want to be wealthy. Rich people, in contrast to the denier, readily accept the worst circumstances and find ways to improve them. Leech, number 3. The leech is an additional category of poor people who pass away. These individuals recklessly rode on the backs of others. They are always determined to make money off of people who have already struggled to build wealth similar to parasites they never leave, but they stay to eat out of people's pockets. Because they believe that other people have access to magical means of earning money, this group will never be wealthy. Leeches, in my opinion, tend to think that the grass is always greener on the other side. As a result, they don't bother to water their lawn or improve their financial situation. In other instances, you might be surprised to learn that leeches will be the first to brag about other people's wealth, drive flashy cars that belong to their friends, and take pictures in fancy mansions that they don't own. The owners might be close friends or relatives who put in hard work to get where they are today. Leeches somehow believe that riding on those who are fortunate is acceptable because Lady Luck missed their door. Although seeking financial assistance is not wrong, it should not become routine. When you over-rely on other people, you get a false sense of security that stops you from growing as a person. There is no shortcut to wealth accumulation. You must work as hard as everyone else. Sincerely, luck is the single most important factor in wealth accumulation. Either you win or you lose. A leech will not hear of financial success because it requires self-motivation, persistence, and hard work. Fourth, the braggart. While there is nothing wrong with enjoying one's hard-earned wealth, being overly showy is a problem. There is a subset of people who, as soon as they receive any money, become overjoyed and display their accomplishments in front of the entire world. Well, truly wealthy people frequently prefer to maintain a low profile and live private lives. The opposite is true for this group of people. They crave the feeling of admiration from other people, and this doesn't always work in their favor. The show-offs will always need external validation, whether from a friend, relative, co-worker, or stranger on the internet. Gradually, the strain to hide any hint of failure and seem fruitful develops and occupies them from their motivation behind why they begin living a falsehood to make sure they can have something to flaunt. The show-off rarely becomes wealthy because they are frequently too focused on maintaining their lavish lifestyles. Even if they can't afford it, they can't help themselves from keeping up with the Joneses. They will snap a shot for Instagram in response to the subsequent trend. The only issue is that this kind of behavior makes it unlikely that anyone will ever become wealthy. The show-offs have flashy cars, expensive jewelry, expensive homes, and designer brands, but at what cost? With such a creepy lifestyle, the show-offs are forced to live beyond their means. They frequently end up with a huge debt pile and no money to invest or save. In point of fact, research indicates that truly wealthy individuals rarely feel the need to flaunt their wealth. Fifth, pessimism is one of the most powerful obstacles to financial success. It looks like a bad weed that can ruin even the most beautiful garden if it isn't rooted out. I'll have to admit that there are a lot of obstacles on the way to wealth that make optimism so unlikely. When circumstances are not in your favor, it is simple to let negative energy permeate. It is simple to believe that you are not good enough to succeed. In the end, we're all humans after all. The fact that pessimism and wealth cannot coexist is an important point to remember. These two distinct aspects will never coexist for some reason. As a successful venture capitalist and investor put it, I'm not sure how many wealthy pessimists agree that pessimism prevents growth by creating a false perception of failure and setbacks. Pessimism will make you believe that your efforts are pointless and that success is reserved for the elite. Pessimists can see the past challenges and difficult times because they think negative thoughts like these. Instead, they believe that the self-doubt they experience is a sign that their ideas will never come to fruition. On the other hand, being optimistic will help you get through difficult times in your life, like investing and running a business. Rich people stand out from the poor by maintaining a positive outlook during trying times. Because they believe it is a waste of time, the majority of pessimists do not save or invest. Even when they haven't even tried something, they are always convinced that it won't work. This group of people is funny because they pretend to be realists and tell people that various investment opportunities are scams or don't pay off. Pessimists don't realize that they miss out on all the opportunities they didn't take. Your attitude is the key to your success. Your future is shaped by your thoughts. Your chances of accumulating tangible wealth are close to zero if you can only focus on situations that cannot be accomplished. Those are the 5 kinds of people who will never achieve financial success. I appreciate your viewing. Click the subscribe button right away if you want to transform the life you currently have into the life you deserve.